Hello everyone, welcome back to Maritime SoftwareHub, the People Podcast. Today I'm joined by Jason Berman, who's the founder and CEO of Nautica Group. I'm really excited to have you on the show, Jason, a fellow Floridian, and really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. So love it if you could introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and the business.
Thanks, Callum. And yes, enjoying nice sunny weather here in Florida. So my name is Jason Berman. I've been in the maritime space for my entire career. So started here in the U.S. and with a company called Norton Lilly, who most in the Americas market probably know. Started there in marketing and operations, and was part of a team who was looking at global agency arrangements in the early days. And Norton Lilly was one of the founding members of S5, which is a global port agency, and so I've been involved there from the very beginning. And so that kind of led my journey to in maritime, a couple of years focusing on the domestic market, and then transferring into the international space and looking at the systems and product offerings for a global port agency, and how we add value to clients, and additional value to being just a good agent on the ground, but looking at how you use data and things of that nature. So my career has transformed and went into a lot about systems and how we use systems and technology to support the people on the ground.
Fascinating background. I mean, good 15, 17 plus years or so at S5. I'm sure you saw a huge transformation at the business and also in the industry throughout that time. So I look forward to kind of diving into that and hearing your insights. But thank you very much, Jason. So we're going to talk today mainly around kind of people, process and platforms and the future of maritime services and how technology is essentially shaping things. You've obviously talked a bit about your background, but what then led you to start up Nautica Global?
So after spending 20 plus years in building a global port agency, I had the opportunity to live in London as well, and Singapore. The company was sold a little over a year ago, and at that time it was a good time to take a step out and see where I wanted to do, kind of hopefully finish my career in the next chapter, and was really wanted to focus on the technology aspect of it, and build supporting ERP systems that help not only local agents but also the clients kind of take control of their data and build that ecosystem that allows for integration of systems and collaboration with other vendors in the market and other data sets to allow for informed decisions.
I mean, that's a really key point there. I think having that shared communication of all the different kind of variables and the different players within the logistics space seems to be a complex problem, I'd say, from what I've learned, to try and digitalize and harmonize things. So is that something you're seeing is gradually kind of improving, or is there still a pretty long way to go there?
It's improving, but slower than I think most would hope. The questions is not about whether the data's out there, because I think everybody has so much data, they just don't know what to do with it, or they're not willing to share it at the moment, right? And it's people see it as a trade secrets or things of that nature. But I think really the data, the amount of data that's is available is more than enough that we could cope with. The problem is getting people to share that data together to make really informed decisions. It also feeds into the emissions and things going on in the industry, right? Because there's still a big hurry up and wait type scenario when it comes to getting ships to a port, right? So first come, first serve. So when I go full steam ahead and sit for 2 weeks waiting for the berth, it doesn't make sense on that side either.
We see that a lot in a number of the software companies that we recruit for. A lot of their kind of just-in-time sort of model seems to be kind of a big focus for what we're seeing to try and help reduce emissions as well and that type of thing. So what type of projects are you or consultancy projects are you mainly kind of helping your customers with at the moment, or you will do in the future?
Yeah, well, so we built our own full ERP system, which is called Agency One. And that incorporates an interface for the ports and the port agents, as well as client interface. We built a full accounting module full accounting package as well for the port agents and vendor process and the invoice processing. We've got modules for vendors to submit invoices, for sub-agents of agents, or to log in and key data in. So we've got all that in place, and we're working on some CRM module and some liner solutions as well. So that kind of hopefully to kind of wrap up, kind of round out the whole Agency One ERP system. And what we're seeing then is clients who are using different modules of it are wanting to customize those modules to fit their specific needs. So we're working on some projects, and that's where kind of the consulting comes in. And we've been lucky to be a trusted partner for these clients to come in at the early stages, help them identify what's really needed, and whether our system can provide all of it, or whether we need to partner with somebody to bring in the extra interfaces. We work together to then give that full ERP solution that they're needing to solve the problem.
You've gone out about what's your approach been to building the technology and the software piece? Is it by kind of external consultants in different regions, or do you have an in-house team? How have you structured it?
Yeah, so my partner, our in-house tech partner, who's helping me develop it. So that's it allows us to really react quickly as well, right? So we're not having to go out and scope it with somebody. The other benefit is we all have a long history in the maritime space. So there's a lot of people who are out there now who are building technology solutions, but maybe they don't come from a maritime background. So they're first having to learn the nuances of shipping, which there's a lot of them, right? So being able to have this experience and come into it knowing what's the actual terminology and how it affects different elements is a big advantage that we can do, and we can react quickly and help clients get things rolled out much quicker.
I guess from what you've learned so far, maybe speaking to people outside of shipping initially, how do you think technology is being perceived at the moment in the maritime space?
If you're outside the segment, it's probably looking at the dinosaurs there in the maritime space. Internally, I think there's as you'll know in your recruitment side, there's a million technology platforms out there. It's trying to find what the real global or golden egg is going to be, that solution, I think, for clients. But again, it shouldn't be done in isolation. And this is something that's I think is still a problem in our industry. You have lots of people building lots of different modules, but if they're not willing to talk to each other and come together to integrate, you end up with, a client goes and buys 5 different systems and none of them talk to each other, and you're back to the same square that you are today, is that you still can't consolidate data and make informed decisions.
Is that where I see one of your modules is the hubbing solution? Is that something that ties together parties, or is that something slightly different?
Yeah, so the hubbing solution allows for, if you have a client who needs to use multiple agents, so the system can be used to hub all the different port vendors, port agents, etc., so that all the information comes into a single platform. But we also have a full module dedicated just for integration. So whether that's other ERP systems, accounting packages, vessel management systems, or voyage management systems, we have integrations with partners in the invoice processing, travel agents, crew management software. So all full range around the industry, and that's one of the benefits is the flexibility and using APIs and really doing a deep integration with different clients' platforms.
Okay, so would you have partnerships with vendors or software providers that focus on kind of crewing compliance, that type of thing, or would you do that more in-house yourself?
Again, we're not pretending to be the experts in every single aspect of the maritime space. So there's those people who build wonderful crewing platforms, for example, or wonderful travel agency platforms, or the big voyage management systems of the market, right? And they do those things very well. So there's no reason for us to go try to recreate that. The idea, though, is if we can integrate where it can be a simple click of a button to nominate an agent, and all the data transfers out of a voyage management system or from a vessel management system from the technical side. It can create all the details in our platform. We're then feeding the data straight back in. So port times, costings, and things of that nature. So it's a single integrated solution. In the past, we've had clients who the integration was so deep when they clicked on the button on their own system, it popped up our screens, right? So it wasn't even, they didn't even have to kind of look at logging into our platform. It was our screens popping up in the background. So you had deep integrations there as well.
And I guess looking back at your time at S5, did you see some of these kind of tools being evolved? And I'm sure you're very personally led projects in this area, but were there examples you can maybe share where you didn't have these solutions and perhaps now that there are available, the benefit that it can offer people?
That's a good point. It's been something that I've been fortunate enough to, because I was involved. I built 2 generations of platforms in my previous company. And, when you make decisions in any project, sometimes they don't always go off as you had planned, or you could have maybe said, well, if I had the choice to do it again, maybe I would do it a different way. Well, I've been fortunate enough to be able to have the opportunity to do it again. So not only have I been able to learn from all the things that I spent 20 years doing previously, but I've also been able to say, okay, well, maybe there was new issues that came up, right? If you look at the communications of today, when I started, telex was there, right? And telex went away and you had fax machines, and that lasted for a year or two, and then we came to email, and everything had its advantages, right? You got less cost, you could communicate faster and get more information, but it also brings in issues. So if you look at, the time that companies spend today managing emails is a huge amount of time, a huge amount of resources, and how do you find that email 6 months later? Right, so we've taken that into consideration as well. So we have an email module where we can tag the emails to port calls. We can tag them against vessels and clients. So it makes it very simple to find those emails 6 weeks, 6 months later, and use that information. So again, the communication is changing. 20 years ago, once a day telex was all the client was requiring. Now they expect an instant response when you send them. Or when they send you an email, they expect an instant response. And we have it actually built into the platform, and this is part of the hubbing solution, that a client can actually send messages inside the platform. So almost like a chat box, I guess you call it, like a WhatsApp messaging inside of the platform. So they can ask the local port questions and they can respond. So it's the same information that they would get today, let's say in an email, but now it can all be done very quickly inside of a specific port call, which tracks that information. Again, 6 weeks, 6 months later, you have it all there together.
Have you had to adapt your approach to the solutions you're building depending on the region, the type of customers? If you could walk us through that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, there's certain parts of the world that maybe jump on the bandwagon a little quicker in terms of technology or implement it for different reasons, right? So there's also been I've seen a big trend in certain parts of the world where business has maybe moved from Hong Kong to Singapore. Now Singapore is moving to Dubai, right? So you have also kind of central locations of where the business is being done, and that sometimes means people aren't willing to move, so you get new people stepping into kind of management roles with new ideas. And so geographic location does play a big part of it. Cost of people does also play a part. That certain places want to do it more efficiently and focus more efforts on implementing systems. But you also, I think, there's a big generational change taking place, and we saw, I think, a lot of this during COVID as well, when the generational people, those who have been 20 years as captains, who came inside to work in the offices, they're starting to phase out. You have a new generation of people coming into the maritime sector, which maybe have never been on ships, right? But they're highly educated, college degrees, et cetera, but they don't understand, they don't have the experience yet of how to make decisions because they haven't had the onboard experiences. And that's where I think more data is coming, the need for data-led decision-making instead of gut decision-making is having to become more to the forefront, but also the younger generations more in depth to mobile devices. And so that's something that we fully focused on as well with the new technology is, not just being able to work from your desk, but as long as you have an internet connection, everything can be done from a mobile phone or tablet. So, I mean, everything from uploading documentation to improving invoices or to sending mails can all be done from our platform via mobile phone.
Yeah, makes sense. And I mean, obviously, I've moved my family and the business out here. We're growing in North America. What sort of appetite and interest are you seeing from the North American market in terms of adopting new technology in shipping?
I think that North America as well as the European sectors have probably been the two markets which have jumped on our platform probably a bit faster than others. But we are seeing other regions, coming on. But I think a lot of that's driven as well by the cost. Having people sit around doing data entry is not something that's smart in this kind of in this sector. We need people to be focusing on doing value added work, not doing data entry, and that has been a historical issue where people are too busy keying data in versus using that information to actually go out and do their job more efficiently. And technology needs to work with. It's not there to replace people. It's there to allow them to do things more efficiently and actually focus on what their their core jobs. Their core job's not data entry. It's operating ships or handling invoices or whatever it may be, right? And really using things to improve the process, improve the time in ports, improve the cost in port, things like that.
Yeah. What type of challenges have you seen with adoption of the technology, no matter where the region is? But have you seen any particular trends or things that keep popping up?
Yeah, I mean, the generational gap is one of those, right? And that is changing, and that's been a benefit, because again, people want to have modern systems involved. But I also think one of the main issues is just resistance to change, and that's anything somebody does. So what we focus on is really identifying where the key problem areas are today, right, and solving those issues. Because if you can get somebody to actually see at the low level that there is a benefit, it can save them 10 minutes or an hour a day, right? That's all it takes is to get them to buy into it. And once they can see the one benefit, then they're not pushing back trying to find reasons not to use it. They're trying to say, what else can I do? How else can it help me? So when we onboard clients, we call them super users. We try to identify and we set up a super user inside the clients or multiple super users, and those are the ones who kind of get the more in-depth training, and they can be the ones that can help advise the other staff in the company. Hey guys, if you do this is where the advantage is coming on. This is how you can do it more efficiently. It's going to save you the time here. You don't have to key it in 5 times, right? So finding those internal champions makes a big difference and really helps us get the traction inside the companies.
So, and in terms of from where you've seen hiring and talent of the trends, maybe if we look at S5, if you don't mind me asking, like how typically did you go about sort of attracting youngers, let's say, kind of more, you talked about the new generation. Was it quite an easy, did you find it relatively easy to bring people in, or was it a big education piece generally, or was there still quite a lot of interest from what you were seeing?
Yeah, so when I first started in the business, I was actually getting my master's degree, and I worked part-time in HR while I was doing that, right? And this is going back 20 plus years ago, right? And at that time, you would get people in, and 3 weeks into the job, they would either say, I love this, and I'm working 24/7, and I want to stay in it, or I don't have time to spend my social life, and I want out, right? So people, I think, historically, they either get in and out quick, or they stay in for the rest of their career. And I think that's one of the difficult problems of today is how do you get people that are open to willing to work 24/7? Because that's what this industry is, right? So it takes the right people, especially in the port agency side of things, because on the food chain, we're not the highest, we're not the ship owners, we're not the traders and charters and brokers, so we're a little bit further down the food chain. So a lot of the time, the agents are the ones who are being plucked out to become operators and traders in these other, because we've trained them what a ship is and how to do operations, right? So it's hard to find, I think, good people now, and the younger generations aren't willing to work 24/7 like we used to in the day. Not saying that's wrong, but so that's where I think a cultural change, and that's where systems can also play part of it, because you need to be able to do things more efficiently. You need to be able to work remotely, right? The days of everybody sitting in the office 9 to 5 because you had to look at the whiteboard on the wall to see what was going on with the vessels doesn't need to be there, right? We can work remotely from home, et cetera. And I think that's where technology has really played a big value and will continue to do it, because the younger generations want to use that going forward.
All right, then. I guess last couple of questions, if you don't mind. Like, I guess
No problem.
Looking back, then, is there any kind of advice or thoughts you'd share with yourself, really, about how you might maybe take a different tactic of building technology in the business, or anything you might have tried to change, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way things are being done, and moving away from, it used to be remote desktops and technology, and technology now is being web based, and I think that's the kind of the key things is making it easy. It has to be something that really drives value, right? Not just implementing systems to tick a box and say I have a system, And so if I look back, in my own career, I'm not a patient person, but trying to tell myself, be patient, but you have to be persistent, right? People do believe in, I think, implementing technology, but it's a case of maybe they're scared of it. Maybe there's a cost to it that they haven't budgeted for, right? And things of that nature. But I think once people see the value of it, it does happen. It does take force. And getting somebody, again, this is the change in management. Sometimes management change has to take place, because those people say, well, I've been doing it this way for 20 years. It's worked. Why would I change it? Right? Or I only have a year or two left in my career. Why am I going to make my life difficult as a manager? I'll just keep doing it and let somebody else have that headache, right? So, technology alone can't do it. You need the people to buy into it. You have to have the trust of those people, and that's where I think as well it excites me with the consulting side of the business, is being able to sit down with these clients and say, okay, let's identify where the real bottlenecks or problems are, and see how you can use technology to solve those. All right, it's not me and my team sitting in an ivory tower somewhere coming up with all the solutions without talking. It has to be a collaborative process, and working with those on the ground. Everything from the DA clerk and the ops boarding agent through the senior management, because if you don't have the right information coming in, you're not going to have the right results and information coming out. So it takes everybody in the whole process to be on board with it.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. And I guess going forward then for Nautica and the business, where do you sort of see yourself in 12, 24 months time, and what sort of things might you be working on, and the business, what would it look like then, do you think?
Well, as I said, we've got a few packages that we're delivering, that we're rolling out. We have a CRM system coming out in about a month, and about a couple months after that, we're working on the liner system. But we also have a few big projects of building kind of end-to-end ERP systems, so using some of our packages as well as some of the existing client systems to kind of build, to have a single source system for their entire business. So I see that as a really exciting project, and that's will probably take us 6 months to get all of it integrated and programmed, and the extra programming that client needs. So there's a lot of exciting projects of that nature. I think as well, we'll see more and more clients wanting to take control of their own hubbing solutions, right? So whether that's local agents wanting to start their own hubbing capabilities in their countries or regions, or the client saying, hey, I can do this myself because I have a software solution that allows me to, and they can do their own hubbing. So I think that's where I see the kind of the next 12 to 24 months is really growing that, and getting getting more of the normal clients on board, and really kind of growing our footprint around the world in different regions.
And with regards to growth and I guess your kind of strategy of go to market, are you very involved still in sales? I imagine you are, from the sound of it, but do you see yourself building a team around you to in certain regions, or keep it central?
Yeah, in due course, I think we definitely need to have some team members. One of the benefits, with any software is if you haven't lived it, right? And this, when I go into some of the presentations with some of the current target clients, where there's my country is very difficult, or this is we have these nuances. Well, my background of 20 years dealing with it on a global basis means we've dealt with those issues, at some point in time, right? In those nuances. So, I can go in and give real life testimonials, or real life examples of how we solve the problems, and that's one of the things. What did I learn from the 20 years of being at the global level that I can help local agents actually benefit from, right? It's things that when I was working only in the U.S. had no idea that these things even existed or were part of it. But it's simple things that you can do, to really elevate the game of being a local agent or regional agent that you just wouldn't know about otherwise. So that's where I think my value. I've got to be able to pass that on. I can't be the only one doing it going forward, but I think it's definitely an added value at the moment for it.
I'm actually in a very similar kind of position. I've always found being, I guess, the front man of the company essentially over the last 5 or 6 years. It comes with pros and cons. Obviously, a lot kind of falls on your shoulders, and I've really enjoyed building and scaling a team, and we've have different kind of iterations of the business. But as much as I can pass on, and I'm still learning every day as well, the better. So I'm very much in that phase of trying to roll things out now as we build in America and still in Europe as well. So I do understand where you're coming from, but it'll get to a point where I think you'll be like, right, okay, let's get some more soldiers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you have to be able to continue to grow strategically, right? If you're too involved in the day-to-day, you can't work on the bigger picture, right? So you need a support team there to help you. And the more clients we get, then I need extra people to be the day-to-day client management of that business, et cetera, as well, right? So we definitely will grow over the next 12, 24 months.
Great. Well, anything else you'd like to share about the business before we wrap up?
No, really. I mean, again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. You can. We've got our website, Nautica Group Global.com. You can go to and see more information, or reach out to me personally or privately on LinkedIn. Happy to have discussions. And this isn't something that I've developed by just sitting on my own. It's interacting and having discussions with other people in the industry, and just trying to solve the problems that everybody's running into. So. Definitely good to have discussion.
Brilliant. And before I let you go, I always like to get to know people a little bit more on a personal level during these discussions. So do you mind me asking kind of what you like to do outside of what I've got a bit of an idea what you might say, but anything kind of that springs to mind in terms of hobbies and that type of thing?
One of the true to your background, but is as you call it, football. So soccer is probably one of my biggest hobbies. Played my whole life. I've been a referee for almost 30 years now. So I still referee and do a little playing. My kids are playing, so I help them as well. And that's probably what keeps me busy and keeps me interacting with my kids as well. And outside of that, traveling, fishing is also a big pastime. The international scope of this and the traveling fits in perfectly with my hobbies, and again, going to see some of my football teams in Europe every once in a while doesn't hurt either.
I think where you're positioned as well in the States, you've got so many options, different places to go. If you're obviously into boating, fishing and stuff, the world's your oyster down where we are. So it's excellent.
Sure.
All right. Okay, Jason. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for everyone also for tuning in. Been a real pleasure hearing about your journey and what you're building. So love to sort of keep in touch with you and see how things progress. But for now, thank you for tuning in, and look forward to speaking again soon.
Thanks, Alex.